Hey folks, it's Ardwulf. Welcome. We have an unboxing today of something vintage. And furthermore, from a company that is no longer with us. This is East Front Battles from 3W and designer Joe Youst. Now, this is a 1994 release, and it is actually second in a series, and it's the last in this series. Although Joe has said he would like to revive it in recent years. The original game in the series, I think it's just called East Front Battles, and it's actually designed by Vance von Voorhis, and it is a predecessor to the East Front series. I was more interested in this particular one, having kind of investigated both of them in a pretty casual way. This is something that is... I mean, there's people asking for $100 for this on eBay. Don't pay that. I got this for like, I think $25 or something like that, plus shipping, and it's in the shrink wrap. It's not incredibly valuable, but that's a pretty good price, right? I'm not saying don't pay a little more than that, but don't pay $90 for it. It's in the shrink wrap too, what looks like the original shrink wrap. It's baggy 3W shrink wrap, and when you pick it up, which is not particularly surprising given the contents, it's pretty heavy actually. It's a 1-inch 3W box, 3W Worldwide War Games, a company with a lot of history and a company that probably doesn't get as much attention nowadays as it deserves. I'm very curious to investigate this. Now, of course, the topic of this game, Spires of the Kremlin, is Operation Typhoon in late summer and fall of 1941, when the Germans attempt their final, or at least final serious drive against to try to capture Moscow, and they came really, really close. So let's see what's in here. It's a pretty big game, I can tell you that. So we have a rule book, which is pretty hefty, 48 pages on a pretty thick paper, quite thick paper actually. Pretty standard 3W rule book layout. There's their address from Fresno, California. The paper's really nice, actually. We have some player aids bound into the middle of the book, which is not a thing. That's a thing that SPI did. Victory Games did it too. That's a thing I'm not a big fan of. And this is, of course, the series rules. I'm exceptionally curious to learn how closely this predecessor series ended up resembling the East Front series. I know that there are some people that like it better than the East Front series. And by East Front series, I mean the GMT East Front series, Barbarossa Army Group South, Army Group Center, and Army Group North. And of course, Barbarossa Kiev to Rostov, and Crimea, and by some accounts, the game called Typhoon as well, which is the game that covers this topic. Also curious to know what the map scale is. So this is the East Front Battles 2 exclusive rules, and this is a 32-page book on the same thick paper. The paper's really nice. You have a bunch of, again, what look like pull-out stuff in the middle of the book, which, again, I'm not crazy about, but I guess you could pull it out and then bind it as its own book, or make copy it, make player aids or whatever. Okay, so we have one, 2, 3 maps, okay? And don't know if Joe did the maps for this or not. Let's see if that's here, actually. You'd think that would be here in the game-specific rules somewhere. There's some player's notes in the back. And there's at least 4 scenarios in here as well. I don't see credits. But this says designer Joe Youst rather than designer Vance von Voorhis. For all I know, the first game, the first East Front Battles game, didn't use the same system at all. So that's a potential thing. But we'll see. I don't see credits in here anywhere, unless it's somewhere that I haven't seen yet. Counter graphics by Jeffrey Tibbetts. Okay, so let's get at least a sense of what the maps look like. I mean, this is 1994. Bear in mind, you are not going to see super duper fancy map graphics. These are okay. Readability on some of the names is a bit low, like Serpukov here, for example, is pretty hard to read on this forest background. It looks like there are 2 different kinds of forests. You can see Moscow up here on the top of this map. Tula's right here. Of course, that the Germans had some trouble taking that. And I, of course, have played this situation out in Guderian's Blitzkrieg 2, the OCS entry on the topic of Operation Typhoon. So okay looking maps. They're not amazing. It looks like, yeah, maybe not. I'd have to lay them out to find out. It doesn't look like you need to trim the edges. No, it doesn't look like it. But you have to lay them down in a specific order. Of course, here's Kursk. The famous Battle of Kursk did not happen in this time frame. Okay. So let's look at the counters last. And there's quite a few. There's a 10-sided die, which is green for some reason. We have a couple of displays here. Of course, this is going to be a forget getting it back in the box type of situation. Front and air HQ and record track, 3 of them, I guess. A game turn record track, so you can see here that there are what look like 18 turns. Not sure if they're weekly turns or 5-day turns or something like that. Here's German HQ. This should be one-sided, right? Yes. Okay, this German HQ attachment supply and replacements. Looks like pretty much 4 each turn. Army Group Center, RR status table, status of the railroads, presumably, which were very important in this campaign. And, you know, throughout the history of the conflict. German reinforcement withdrawal table. Master victory point location table. Okay, so you have a pretty standard victory points for taking and or holding cities type of arrangement here. German non-divisional setup chart. Access record tracks and game turn record. Okay, we have some errata, and it looks like we have 3 pages of badly mimeographed errata. Double-sided here that somebody at 3W must have stuck in the box. Okay, so that's neat. Glad it's in there. I haven't actually tried to run down the errata online. It's probably available somewhere. All right, so counter sheets. We have 4 full counter sheets and 3 partial counter sheets. So this one is sheet 6. Here is a utility counter sheet, which contains some of these rotary markers or pollard markers. Not sure what that actually indicates. It may indicate steps, but I don't know that it does. Emergency supply or out of supply, which you're intended to rotate these to apparently, which I'm not sure I'd like. So more rotary markers. We got some aircraft. Looks like only German aircraft. And then on here we have some units. Looks like we have guards in this sort of burnt orange or burnt umber type of color, and the regular Soviets in this kind of banana brown or banana tan, which is pretty typical counter color for Soviets, to be honest. All right, and then the regular units. Now, what I'm not seeing, maybe these are just a little bit misregistered, but not that I'd call and complain, not that I can do that anymore. They look okay, fortunately, because there's really nobody to complain to. All I could really do about it is make replacement counters. Not sure if there's a vassal module for this. I didn't check that. I've been looking at this for quite a while, for like a year and a half, and I know what it's worth, so I was unwilling to pay $70 or $80 for it. I went up to about 50 at one point and didn't get it and decided I was just going to wait. Looks like we've got some shock armies too. These look like they're HQs. That's interesting. I wonder how the command works, because the way the command works in the East Front series is pretty idiosyncratic, actually. Only the Soviets have HQs. Don't know if that's true here. Although I don't see any German. No, there's absolutely German HQs. So they might behave differently. I don't know. Very, very curious to take a look at this. Not going to go so far as to say I recommend it, because I don't know enough about it yet. But it is a game, like I said, that I have had my eye on for a while. And I was waiting for the sweet spot price to hit, and we finally grabbed it at that sweet spot price. So hopefully you have found this interesting or informative. If so, please do give the video a thumbs up. Please do subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to do more to help support Ardwulf's Lair, please do check out the links in the video description to the Patreon, the merch store, and the Ko-Fi. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, happy wargaming.